America is massive. But did you know that nearly a third of the country's land is almost completely empty, home to less than 3% of the population? From endless plains to unseen mountain towns, some states are so isolated they almost feel abandoned. So why are people leaving, or why didn't they settle there in the first place? Buckle up, because we're counting down the 9 forgotten states of America. Places so vast and quiet, they can feel like ghost towns. And trust me, the further we go, the lonelier it gets. Let's start with number 9. Number 9. Utah. You've probably heard of Salt Lake City, but did you know that 80% of this state is practically empty? According to the US Census Bureau, Utah has a population density of just 39.9 people per square mile. That's a lot of space for not a lot of people. So, the question is, why is Utah forgotten? Well, it's a mix of geography and history. Most of Utah is covered in rocky deserts and mountains, which aren't exactly ideal for building cities. Plus, the Great Salt Lake, while stunning, is shrinking, and water is a big deal when you're living in the desert. Here's a fun fact. Utah has the youngest population in the US, with a median age of just 31. That's thanks to large families and a high birth rate. But even with all those kids running around, most people stick to the Salt Lake City area. The rest of the state? Well, let's just say it's perfect for anyone who loves solitude. So, would you move to Utah? Let me know in the comments. Number 8. Nevada. Next up, Nevada. You know Las Vegas, the city of lights, casinos, and endless entertainment. But step outside the city, and Nevada transforms into a desert wasteland. According to the US Geological Survey, 90% of Nevada is desert, and some areas get less than 4 inches of rain a year. That's drier than your grandma's Thanksgiving turkey. Here's the kicker. Nevada is the driest state in the US, and most of its population is crammed into Las Vegas and Reno. The rest of the state? Ghost towns, abandoned mines, and endless stretches of sand. It's like the Wild West never left. Fun fact, Nevada's population density is just 26.8 people per square mile. That's a lot of empty space for a state known for its glitz and glamour. So, would you trade the Vegas Strip for the desert silence? Number 7. Idaho. Famous for potatoes, not people. According to the US Census Bureau, Idaho has a population density of just 22.6 people per square mile. Spuds will have a good time roaming around here. Why is Idaho forgotten? Well, mainly because of geography and economics. Most of Idaho is covered in mountains and forests, which aren't exactly prime real estate for cities. Plus, the economy relies heavily on agriculture. Think potatoes, wheat, and barley, and mining. Not exactly industries that attract huge crowds. Here's a fun fact. Idaho's nickname is the Gem State because of its abundance of natural resources. But with so much wilderness, it's no wonder most people tend to stay in cities. Would you exchange city life for Idaho's wide-open spaces? Or perhaps you're watching this video from your comfy couch in Idaho. Number 6. New Mexico. Home to aliens, nuclear labs, and not much else. According to the US Census Bureau, New Mexico has a population density of just 17.2 people per square mile. That's a lot of space for extraterrestrial visitors. So, why is New Mexico forgotten? Well, it's mostly desert with limited water and harsh weather. Plus, the economy is a paradox. You've got high-tech federal labs like Los Alamos, but rural areas struggle with poverty. In fact, according to the US Department of Agriculture, 15% of New Mexicans live below the poverty line. Fun fact, New Mexico has the highest percentage of Hispanic and Latino Americans of any state. But with so much empty land, it's no wonder most people stick to the cities. Number 5. South Dakota. Home to Mount Rushmore and not much else. According to the US Census Bureau, South Dakota has a population density of just 11.7 people per square mile. That's a lot of space for presidents' faces. The reason behind the emptiness? The Badlands and Black Hills limit habitable areas, and the economy relies heavily on tourism and agriculture. In fact, South Dakota has more cows than people. Fun fact, South Dakota has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the US. However, with so much empty land, most of the population is concentrated in small pockets. Number 4. North Dakota. So cold, even the oil workers leave. According to the US Census Bureau, North Dakota has a population density of just 11.2 people per square mile. Why are people forgetting North Dakota? Well, winters here can hit minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and the economy relies heavily on agriculture and oil. But here's the kicker. Over 90% of the state is rural. That's a lot of space for not a lot of people. Fun fact, North Dakota has about 1.8 million cattle, but only around 770,000 people. That's more than double the number of cows to humans. Number 3. Montana. Big sky country and even bigger emptiness. According to the US Census Bureau, Montana has a population density of just 7.1 people per square mile. Why Montana is a forgotten state? The Rocky Mountains and Great Plains dominate the landscape, and the economy relies heavily on crops and mining. Plus, the gold rush brought settlers, but most left after mining collapsed. Fun fact, Montana has 3 times more elk than humans. The state is also home to the site of Custer's Last Stand, one of the most famous battles in American history. Number 2. Wyoming. The least populated state, and proud of it. According to the US Census Bureau, Wyoming has a population density of just 5.9 people per square mile. That's a lot of space for, well, not much. What makes Wyoming a forgotten state? The Rocky Mountains and Great Plains dominate the landscape, and the economy relies heavily on ranching, coal, and tourism. Plus, the Homestead Act of 1862 failed to attract many settlers due to the harsh environment. Fun fact, Wyoming has the smallest population of any US state, just under 600,000 people. That's fewer people than in most major cities. And by the way, Wyoming is said to have only 2 escalators in the entire state. Number 1. Alaska. And finally, the state where you're more likely to meet a bear than a neighbor. According to the US Census Bureau, Alaska has a population density of just 1.3 people per square mile. That's a lot of space to get lost in. Why are we calling Alaska the most forgotten state? Alaska is covered in glaciers, tundra, and mountains, and winters here can hit minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Plus, 80% of communities aren't connected by roads. That's right, no roads. Fun fact, Alaska has over 100,000 glaciers. The state is so massive that if you superimposed it over the US map, it would stretch from coast to coast. In fact, it's larger than Texas, California, and Montana combined. So there you have it, the 9 forgotten US states. These states aren't empty, they're hiding secrets, forgotten histories, untamed wilderness, and a silence so loud it'll haunt you. So, would you dare to live here? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more mysteries of America's forgotten places.